Hello again, Professor Powers here. This is your lab section for my online students. So this number might be slightly different, but essentially the content is exactly the same. So our online lab materials, let's go ahead and do the same thing we did last time. Let's take a look at the start here. Obviously you're watching this video, so you must have landed here. And then I also wanted to show you the syllabus. Okay. The really great thing about this course is the textbook that we're using for the lecture is also the resource that we need to do the virtual labs. So you should not have too much of a problem jumping in with that information from the McGraw-Hill Connect. Okay. Again, if you, I don't know if I mentioned this, if you opted out of any resources or opted out of the Barron Book Bundle, then you're going to need to get access to the textbook. The textbook information is directly in the syllabus, as well as if when you log into our course and you start here for the lecture portion of the course, you're going to see it there. All right, so let's go through this. Essentially what I have here is the start date. This is the Friday of the beginning of our module week, if you will. And you might remember that I said you've got about 12 days to do all the things that you need to do for the lecture and the lab. So no different in the lab. Your assignments will be due Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. And again, it opens on a Friday, but you have that weekend, the whole next week, the following weekend, and Monday, Tuesday, and then it's due. So start ahead and work smartly and don't wait to the last minute. As said in the previous video, if you miss any of these assignments, you just missed it and get a 0. You can see they're worth a small amount of points, and for the virtual labs, if you complete the labs, you get all the points. So that is really a great situation to be in, meaning that doing the work is going to give you a good grade. So in my mind, if you miss one here or there, it's not the biggest deal. The biggest deal is why are you missing things? Okay, VL is always going to mean virtual lab. And when you see something like lab assignment, this is going to be much like your lecture assignment that's associated with your smart book for our textbook. So you'll see the virtual lab tutorial, we've all done those, an intro tutorial to the resource that you're using in an online class, just a great way to get acclimated how it's going to work. Then you're going to see the first week we have 2 labs worth 2 points each, and then we have a lab quiz, all right? Second week, there's going to be more to do. So we have microscopy, and oil immersion, cell structure, more microscopy, and then a lab assignment, again, associated with your smart book. And you can see here 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, and there's no quiz this week. So essentially, you're going to be going through these resources. And then I did want to point out to you that there is a lab study guide. So hold that thought and take a look. You have 2 lab practicals, so not too bad. Don't miss the lab practical, 50 points. And then I will give you some pointers as we get closer how to study for these lab practicals. We do not have a final exam in the lab. Woohoo! Good for you, good for me. There's enough going on at the end of the semester. So let's go back to course home. And I want to show you how each week will look. All right, week number 1, lab safety and intro to the microbiology lab. So here is the handout. This handout is going to help you figure out what it is you're supposed to be getting out of your virtual labs. So here's the 3 labs I showed you on the syllabus, and then you also have the lab quiz. All right, these lab quizzes are open book, but they are timed. So if you haven't done the lab, it's probably going to be hard to do some of these lab quizzes. So do the labs, get your small amount of points, then do the quiz and do a good job on it. If you're completing your lab handouts, like here, lab safety and introduction to the microbiology lab, then you should have some notes that help you complete those quizzes. So here's the lab handout, okay? If you see any hyperlinks, you can just click on that. It gives you a little bit of review, all the way down, usually some type of quiz questions. Just so you know, we are not doing this right here. These 3 virtual labs, temperature, volume, weight, and length, okay, 4 labs, I omitted that. So I now see I need to omit that on here as well. But essentially then you've got the same thing each week. So back to the table of contents, let's take a look at week 2. And so it goes. And let me show you one more thing, because when you go into the week, so here is the hard copy printed out. Always little notes here. No lab quiz for week 2. There's plenty of things here. But if I go into the virtual lab microscopy, it's going to take me to Connect, right? So McGraw-Hill has this platform called Connect. So this is going to look a little bit different when you log in. So I'll just show you kind of what it looks like. I go down here, I view all my assignments, and I have painstakingly made sure that these labs are in the same order as they are on the syllabus. So as you complete one of the labs, check it off. You're done, right? I think that's where sometimes we get discombobulated in an online course, is trying to remember, what have I done, what I still have to do, and then prevent yourself from spinning. So printing this document is going to help you, printing the lab syllabus is going to help you keep track on what you need to be doing each week. So again, you just work through these, and then it's going to launch essentially. I'm going to go here. No, it's not going to launch right now, but essentially it'll launch you right into that lab. Okay, so all of these things are here. So you're just going to work little by little every week. And occasionally there is going to be a SmartBook lab assignment, much like you have that lecture assignment. And it essentially is going to ask you questions from the book. You can go right to the highlighted portion of the book where that material is being covered. And when you're done doing those assignments, you can always go back and do a recharge. Okay, so something to consider, and resources that you can use. I think that's all that I have for you now. But as always, reach out with questions, and I'm glad to answer it. Have a good day.